police in the morning.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Bad News. I'm your host, the ever-interrupted Simpsons kin, because, you know, all them whiteys are trying to suppress Simpsons culture, Simpsons ethnicity. We're going to go down to Springfield and create our own ethno-state, as we discussed on last week's HBR News. Go check that out if you want some laughs. But that's besides the point. I'd like to introduce my co-panelist for this particular episode. She is the boss, Allison Tiemann. Allison.
Never gets old.
I never get tired of doing it. I love doing the snake voice.
Yeah, it's great. I like it. It
just makes everything sound so much more badass. Here, check this out. Grandma's chicken salad.
Tactical chicken salad.
Tactical. Stealth. Colonel. Okay. I don't even know what the hell I'm doing. It's the end of the week. I need to get more sleep. Let's talk about what you guys are actually here to listen to us talk about. Allison brought this topic to my attention, and it's actually some good news for once. Holy shit. Apparently, there have been several cases. Well, we know this because if you've been following us for any length of time, especially for the past 2 weeks, we've known that several cases involving alleged rape in the UK have been thrown out recently due to evidence not being shared with defense lawyers, evidence which mostly exonerates the defendants, of course. As a result, all current rape and sexual assault cases in England and Wales, sorry, not the UK, England and Wales specifically, are being reviewed as a matter of urgency to ensure evidence has been disclosed. This investigation has been launched by the Crown Prosecution Service, the National Police Chiefs Council, the NPCC, and the College of Policing. Police and prosecutors seem to be having trouble disclosing electronic evidence from phones, computers, and social media, for whatever reason. The most senior public prosecutor in England and Wales, Alison Saunders, said the following on the matter, quote, "Changes in society, such as the vastly increasing use of social media and mobile phone messaging, bring challenges that all parts of the criminal justice system, despite the resourcing challenges, must deal with." Now, we've been discussing several different instances of rape cases that have been thrown out in England and Wales over the last couple of weeks here on Honey Badger Radio, but we happen to be citing a BBC article that is talking about the story, and they listed some other examples that we sort of never had the time to come across. One example, apparently last week, a rape charge was made against a Oxford University student named Oliver Mears, and this charge was dropped on the eve of his trial after a diary which supported his case was uncovered. Another one, in December, a guy named Leon Allen faced 12 counts of rape and sexual assault, but was exonerated when several messages from the alleged victim were uncovered, messages which, of course, were sent following the supposed rape. Now, some of you might be like, well, you know, that's just 2 examples. How bad can the problem really be? Well, apparently, the number of prosecutions in England and Wales that collapsed because of a failure by the police to disclose exonerating evidence had increased 70% in the last 2 years. What does that tell you? Now, Chief Constable Nick Fgrave, the NPCC lead for criminal justice, says that disclosure of evidence had too often been seen as an administrative task finished at the end of the case. And he says also that there's been no intention by officers to conceal information. Allison, I have to ask you, having heard all this, and especially that last part there, do you actually buy that there hasn't been any attempts by officers to conceal information? Do you actually buy that maybe everything that's been going on has been entirely just the case of, let's say, a lot of people in the workforce that aren't so attuned with digital or in social media nowadays that are failing to disclose information that could exonerate the defendants?
The police chief said that they haven't had a problem with disclosing, or they said that the excuse that was made, from what I'm hearing, is that they didn't disclose they thought it was a disclosure of evidence as an administrative problem at the end of closing a case. Except we're not seeing a blanket non-disclosure of evidence. We're not seeing a non-disclosure of evidence of guilt. This is evidence of innocence that they haven't been disclosing. So that's a pretty weak excuse when it's obvious that it's been very specific what type of evidence they are failing to disclose. And the other thing is that we constantly hear from feminists, and I don't even want to call them victim rights advocates, because I don't even think they're victim rights advocates. They just advocate for implicating the system as being against victims. And yet here we have concrete evidence. It's looking like that the system is not against victims. In fact, if anything, it's biased in favor of victims and biased in favor of prosecutions, because this is the evidence that they're not revealing. And I just find it amazing. And we really need to track this. We need to see this, because we're talking about an entire first world country that's had to review all of its cases in this particular criminal code, have to review all of them. Have we heard of this before? Like, this seems like it's unprecedented. An unprecedented display of bias within the legal system against men who are been accused of sexual violence crimes. And we need to track this, because this is the first proof, the first genuine concrete proof of what kind of bias there actually is in the justice system when it comes to rape cases. And we constantly have to deal with feminists and rape advocates talking about how the justice system is biased against rape victims. And this is such an obvious and glaring counter-argument to this. Yeah. Counter-argument to that we need to keep tabs on this and find out where this goes. And not only that, it's unprecedented as far as I can tell. I've never heard of a country saying, oh, wait, this entire all of the persecutions under this particular criminal code, under this particular cause of action, criminal cause of action, we got to go back and look at them. We got to go back and reopen all of that, because the entire system is fucked up with this. Has fucked up on this particular crime. That's unprecedented. It's unbelievable. And I don't ever want to hear these rape advocates or these feminists talk about the system being biased against rape victims anymore. Mm-hmm. Because this is the one bit of concrete evidence I've ever seen towards what's actually happening. And it's the reverse. And I am not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. But of course, they will continue to start talking about how, and you know where I believe that this is coming from too. It's coming from those lobby groups pressuring prosecutors, pressuring the police, pressuring the whole justice system to deliver prosecutions in the case of rape. And there's stuff in the States, I don't know if it holds true for the UK, but there is policies in place in the States where a department can get reviewed if it finds too many non-founded rape cases. So there is pressure from above to get those prosecutions in that particular criminal offense. And I guess it was just a matter of time before we saw something like this, something completely unprecedented like this.
Jesus, they're trying to turn the issue of rape into a growth industry?
I would say that is probably a fairly accurate assessment. And I mean, the issue is also that due process and failures of due process like this do not help rape victims.
Yeah, it's only trivializing the issue of rape, and it could potentially ruin people's lives. But hell, we got to get more prosecutions, even if those are based on really flimsy premises, like Mr. Mears and Mr. Allen, like we just discussed a few minutes ago. Who the fuck cares? It's only the fucking legal system. Excuse my language.
Yeah, well, we don't really need that. Let's just do away with it. Go back to lynching. And like I said, this is unprecedented, and we finally have a bit of evidence of what the actual bias is in the legal, in the criminal justice system in regards to rape cases. And I can't imagine that it's any better, or that the situation is any different in any other first world country, the US or Canada. In fact, in Canada, it's going to get even worse, because I believe that cases of rape, they're looking at handing evidence for rape over to domestic violence shelter and feminist organizations to do their own investigations. And it's just it's like this is how civilization dies, folks. It dies with rape hysteria.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know
man.
what? I more often than not, I'm inclined to assume gross negligence and incompetence when it comes to issues like these where evidence isn't being disclosed. However, I find it so hard to believe in this day and age when everything is done digitally that the UK police, whatever you want to call it, industry, the divisions throughout England and Wales are so incompetent that they're continuously not submitting electronic evidence, where most times nowadays, in order to make sure that people can be exonerated or people can be proven guilty, a lot of the stuff that is submitted as evidence is submitted digital evidence because it's like hard proof. It's a lot more difficult to get rid of. That's why when people are trying to prosecute Hillary Clinton, they're always going after the emails, right?
Yeah, we could be dealing with an occult quota system, and occult I mean by just hidden. And I mean in the U.S. there is a quota system when it comes to domestic violence. If the arrests of individuals for domestic violence ever deviates from a gender balance of, I think, might be 10 to 1, then the department ends up under review. So we might actually also be looking at quotas in terms of how many unfounded cases the police are allowed to actually have. We don't know. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go on to corrupt the legal system, and it comes out of these lobby groups who have this politicized view of crime, and they want to, if reality doesn't conform to their politicized view of the world, they'll make it conform.
Well, I want to try and look at the optimistic side of this story, and I want everybody that's listening to us right now to look at this story with a little bit of optimism. Like Allison said before, anytime that somebody tries to say that, well, specifically England and Wales is a rape culture, maybe what we should do is make a print off of this BBC story. We'll leave a link to it in the description box below, and then wave it in front of the next feminist that makes that claim. It's like, how do you explain this? And then it's also good news for, like, let's say the MGTOW community, because it's showing like, hey, even though maybe it's just a statement, oh yeah, we'll get around to it. Yes, this is a problem, yada yada yada. At least they're acknowledging that this is a problem and that it exists. Whether or not they'll do anything about it, we'll see.
And also, it's probably a good thing for all of those men who may have ended up in jail on flimsy evidence or without having exonerating evidence revealed at trial. I mean, that's another thing. So we're probably looking at a rash of men who are in jail and didn't do anything. And it'd be good to see them not be in jail.
Yes. It'll just be good that we're actually getting the UK police to do their jobs, because they haven't been doing their jobs, especially over the last couple of weeks. That'll do it for us, I guess, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us for this edition of Breaking Bedroom News. If you like this particular video, make sure to give it a like. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. It just tells the system that our videos are worth watching. So make sure you hit that like button. Also, if you want to see more content from us, please hit that subscribe button. We got tons of videos coming out here every single week on Honey Badger Radio, whether it's the Breaking Badger segments or our live shows or a whole bunch of different things with our fellow Badgers in Arms. And speaking of Badgers in Arms, I'd like to thank the boss again. Just another excuse for me to do the voice, Allison Tiemann, for doing this with me on such short notice.
Okay, and if you enjoy this content and you want to see more of it, www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio.
And until next time, stay yellow.